When the first feminist waves came about, one of the big arguments against women's suffrage was voting rights came with civic responsibility.
Draft.
And fire brigade.
Yeah.
And the women who opposed it were like, I do not want to be on a fire brigade. This is insane. But there were women being like, yes. And then there were weak men being like, don't care, sure, whatever. And then ultimately the extremely weak men said, I know we'll win the votes of these women if we give them everything they want. So they capitulate and say, women now have the right to vote with no civic responsibility.
Yes, respectfully to the men who want to say that feminism is women's problem and women's responsibility, men and women both share the blame for feminism. From its earliest inception, feminism has required men and women both to prop it up, to support it, or at the very least to look the other way and to allow it to happen. Feminism has wreaked havoc on the US for at least the last 60 years, if not the last 100. It makes no sense that 50% of the population is utterly blameless in this. Even if we take it all the way back to women's suffrage, I'm not saying that was a good or a bad thing. I think it was inevitable, but I think it's the starting point for feminism as we know it today. Women's suffrage could have never happened without women and men. Feminism always requires weak men and disagreeable women. It's the Garden of Eden story told over and over, dissatisfied Eve and passive Adam. So we should recognize that feminism is the enemy instead of trying to pin it all on women and demand that they all change first. Men, respectfully, when you do that, you perpetuate feminism.